Welcome to the Phone Banking with County to County comprehensive manual and guide video. So through this video, we're going to walk you through the steps and the processes to completing your first calls with County to County, registering for your first phone bank, and also kind of fielding some frequently asked questions. So it'll be as smooth as a process as it can be. So we're here to help, and that is the purpose of this slideshow presentation today. Whether you're a new phone banker or an experienced phone banker, this is going to walk you through what phone banking with County to County looks like, so you'll be good to go as we head into this 2024 cycle year and really get ready to man the phones and call as many voters as we can. So first of all, what is the importance of phone banking and why should you do it? So phone banking volunteers like you were talking to Democratic voters throughout the state. This has been shown to increase turnout. So having these quality conversations is one of the most effective ways that influences whether or not a voter shows up to the polls, because that's kind of the name of the game, is getting people to turn out. So people who maybe we're going to sit this one out, they have a great conversation with a volunteer, they learn more information, and then they get to the polls and they cast that vote. So whether these conversations happen over the phone or whether it's door-to-door canvassing, it's the genuine connection and conversation that matters. So we're really excited that you've decided to help that with us. So how much does it matter? So statistics have shown that phone banking can generate as much as 1 vote per 36 conversations. And when you compare this to kind of the paid advertising, the mailers, the TV ads, the digital ads, which largely kind of have like a negligible effect on the vote, there's not as much to be shown. We can see that this is a really effective method of communicating to voters and also seeing results, which is what we're all about at the end of the day. So with that little brief intro, it's time to get started into kind of the nitty-gritty, the details of how to. So starting from when you first sign up to your phone bank to when you close out your final session and attend that debrief Zoom, this PowerPoint presentation is all encompassing. And so stay tuned and get ready to kind of understand the fast facts about phone banking. And if at any time you need any help, someone at C2C is always there to support you. So we have Judith's email down here, who's a good point of contact to kind of get the ball rolling and start things off. So thank you for agreeing to phone bank. Kind of the 5 steps that this presentation will go over is step 1, registration through the County to County website. Step 2, you're going to get an email from phonebanks@countytocountync.org that will give you all the links and instructions that you need. Step 3, you're going to want to create an action ID that will allow you to log into the computer database, and this is the system that you'll use to make those calls in phone bank. Step 4, the day of Zoom, which oftentimes the candidate, campaign manager, campaign staff will be able to join, answer those questions. It's also a good way to kind of contextualize the calls you're making, understand the district better if maybe you've never been there physically. Step 5, how do you make calls? How do you log them? We're going to show you this. All you need is your computer and your phone, and you'll be good to get started. Sweet. So now that you've seen that, step 1 is just registering for your first phone bank, which you're going to want to do at www.countytocountync.org. Click on the blue volunteer button on the right side of your screen. And from there, you will be prompted to our Mobilize registration page, where you're going to see any and every volunteer opportunity that County to County offers. So canvases, phone banks, volunteer gatherings, those are all going to be housed on that mobilization registration page. And so once you see the phone bank you want to register for, you're going to click that blue See Details button. And so from there, you're going to be prompted to that specific information where you fill out your name, email, mobile number, and register for the phone bank. And so you will get a confirmation from email from Mobilize directly after you register for that phone bank, confirming your registration. And then closer to the day of the phone bank, you're going to receive more detailed instructions from County to County directly. So our phone banks are running all the time, and we start off the month with our Zoom kickoff, where often the candidate, campaign manager will join it, us and other volunteers. And so if you're able to make that, you're going to check that Thursday option. And even if you're not able to make that Zoom kickoff, you're still able to make calls throughout the month. You're just going to want to check off that Monday option as well, so that we know about how many people are able to join us for the Zoom kickoff. And so after you register, we'll send you all the information you need, including the Zoom link, the phone banking link, and additional candidate information. So you're going to want to watch for an email from phonebanks@countytocounty.nc.org on the morning before the Zoom kickoff or on Tuesdays thereafter for the duration of the spotlight period in the phone bank that you signed up for. So you're watching for that email and what happens when you finally get it. So the reason that you get an email specific from county to county for this phone bank is that every phone bank has a different link for a script. So if you sign up for multiple phone banks, multiple spotlight periods, each candidate's going to have a different link in a different phone bank that you'll be generated to. And so these phone bank links are valid for the entire spotlight period. So for the month of January, that phone bank link will be valid. And if anything changes, county to county will reach out and keep you updated on the most up-to-date link. So what information is in that email? So you're going to get the Zoom link with the pre-phone bank Zoom meeting. And so it'll just kind of start with the generic Zoom link information. So you want to keep an eye out for that. You will also receive a link to the virtual phone bank database. And so no worries if you've never seen that before and this is your first phone bank. I'm going to walk you through in this video how to access that, and they will also walk you through on that Zoom kickoff. You will also have links to our online resources page, including the phone bank script and information about the candidate for whom you will be calling, as well as a name and contact number for the phone bank captain who will be there to help you throughout the phone bank. Additionally, these resources are printable, so if you prefer to have kind of that hard copy format, feel free to go ahead and print them and have them out for you as well. So our phone bank resources are also online now on our website. So under candidate information on our website, you can click the tab 2024 candidates, and then you can select the specific candidate you want to learn more about or who you're calling for. And that information will all be there, as well as the phone bank FAQs. This page is linked on every candidate spotlight page, and it is also under our resources tab. So this will contain hopefully every single question you can ever have about phone banks and then some to help you kind of walk you through, ease you back into phone banking if maybe it's been a while since you phone banked, or introduce you to the world of phone banking if this is your first phone bank ever. So step 3 is creating an action ID. You only ever need to do this once. And so an action ID, it sounds like a very long, complicated process. It's really not. It's just the login that you need to access that OpenVPB link and get into the phone banking system. So if you've never created an action ID before, it's going to pop up and look like this, where you enter an email address, you create a password, first and last name. So to do this, you go to accounts.ngpvan.com. This link will also be in that email that you got from phonebanks@countytocounty.nc.org. However, if you already have an account, but you've forgotten your password, you can just put the I've forgotten password. We have a little video under our FAQs that walks you through how to reset it. However, if you have not set up an Action ID account, like I said before, just fill in those blanks on the screen, and then you'll be prompted to then click Create Account, and then that account will be generated for you. Another additional step that they offer is two-factor authentication for an additional security layer. So every time you log in from a new device, the number you give will kind of text you and give you that information. So make sure that you're entering a mobile phone number rather than a home phone number, so you can actively receive those texts if you choose to do two-factor authentication. However, you can click the Ask Me Later to skip this step and just continue on to that account curation. So once you've toggled over either enabling two-factor authentication or the Ask Me Later option, that's it. Your account is created and you will be able to log into any OpenVPB link into the future for any and all phone banks. So step 4, joining the Kickoff Zoom, getting into the phone banking spirit and getting ready to make some of your first calls or continue into your foray of phone banking. So we like to call this is the fun part. You're going to meet the candidate, really understand more about their race, and it's really cool to hear directly from them, and you get to hear and feel that their passion for their district, their passion for North Carolina, and gain a deeper understanding about why they're in this fight as well. So I think it's really worthwhile to kind of see that from them, and it can help make you feel more connected to the calls you're making. If maybe you've never been to that district or county before, you can really kind of immerse yourself in that district. And so how do you access this Zoom meeting? You receive a link to the Zoom the morning of the kickoff. And so that's the Zoom that I referenced earlier in that email from phonebanks@countytocounty.nc.org. And so This kickoff is a way for all callers to gather and meet one another. It offers callers a chance to meet the candidate, like I was saying before, and it's also a chance to get any kind of training or technical questions answered as well, because there'll be a phone bank captain who's a volunteer with county to county who's there to help with whatever you need. And so you'll get their information to contact earlier in the day in that kickoff email, but you'll also be able to ask them directly on that Zoom kickoff as well. And an additional note, you don't phone bank through the Zoom itself. The phone banking is done through that additional link. So the Zoom's not in use during the phone bank. However, if you have a problem or question while you're making calls, the phone bank captain will remain on that Zoom, so you can hop back in and get those questions asked directly as well. And also we offer kind of a phone bank debrief Zoom at the end of the night. So on a kickoff night, probably around like 7:50, 7:45-ish, people who choose to rejoin the Zoom and debrief their calls for the night. So now that the kickoff part of the Zoom is done, you kind of have two options of how you can go about your night. You can leave the Zoom entirely and just start making your calls, rejoining the Zoom if you have a question, or at the end for the debrief. However, some people like to keep the Zoom on in the background, but there are some additional steps you want to take so you're not all talking over each other. So what you can do is disengage from the Zoom. So what you do is you click the small arrow on the mute microphone at the bottom left, and then it'll pop up more options, and you're going to click disconnect from computer audio. So this ensures that you can't hear anyone on the Zoom and they can't hear you. So as people hop back on and ask questions in the Zoom, you won't be distracted by that. And as you make calls with the voter, they won't be distracted by that as well. And then the third step, you can just turn off your camera and go about making your calls, and the Zoom will just kind of be there in the background. Sweet. So now step 5, actually making calls with the voters. What does this open VPB interface that I've been talking about actually look like? And kind of how does that flow? And so additional programming note, oftentimes we're calling Democrats and left-leaning unaffiliated voters. So these conversations are fun, and they're one of the more effective things you can do to increase votes for Democrats. So you're not calling a Republican and trying to convince them to vote for a Democrat on election day. You're calling people who are already kind of like-minded, left-leaning, unaffiliated voters who maybe they haven't voted recently, or strong, committed Democrats, and you're providing that information about this candidate and getting them excited to get out and vote, and tell their friends as well to get out and vote for XYZ candidate. So accessing the phone bank, to begin making calls for your phone bank, you're going to click the link on the VPB that we provided in the email. And oftentimes, if you join the kickoff Zoom, they'll drop it in that little Zoom chat box as well. So this link is hard to lose. It's always going to be kind of prompted in front of you. And even if you do lose it in your inbox, you can just ask for it again, and it's really easily providable. And so when you click this link, you will have access to the phone bank, and there'll be like that blue get started button that you see on my screen right now. Click that. You'll be prompted to log in with your action ID into the phone bank, and then you will have access to the script, the voter's information, and the phone number to call. So when you first log into the phone bank, it's going to kind of gray out the screen, and you're going to see that next button option, and it's going to walk you through each little part of the phone banking window. So you just keep clicking that next descriptor, and then you'll be able to then start making your calls. So once you have that gone through all those next options, you're going to be prompted back onto the screen where you're going to see the script. And at the top, it often starts with the voicemail message if we're leaving voicemails for that phone bank. The I couldn't reach option, and then what's blurred out on the screen is the voter specific contact information, name, age, sex, and other information as well. And so additional note, you're going to be dialing with your own phone. So what you're going to want to have with you is your computer or tablet that you use to access the Zoom, the Open VPB link, and then your phone on handy so you can actively dial those numbers, make the calls, log the calls on your computer. And so oftentimes the most likely option is going to be I couldn't reach the voter. And so don't fret. This is actually very helpful for candidates and campaigns, whether it's we're leaving messages for the voters or we're updating the information so that as we're calling and getting closer to the election cycle, that it is going to be a more accurate list, whether it's a wrong number, a disconnected number, they moved, or like noting maybe the voter only speaks Spanish and we didn't know that before. Now we'll have someone be able to reach out who can actually speak Spanish and have a conversation with that voter rather than just kind of moving on. This information is not lost. The campaigns take it and they really analyze that information. So if you couldn't reach, there's a lot of different options. We have some helpful information here to show you kind of what each option means. And again, left message is going to be the most frequent, often one if we're leaving messages. The one that you use when you're in doubt, that's kind of the safest choice, is just not home. So those are kind of the top tier of if you do not reach a voter, what you can do, as well as what happens if I do reach the voter, but it wasn't the right voter? What if there's some additional information I need? So that's where we have refused, not interested, deceased, moved, a callback, wrong number, other language, or Spanish. And just one note about the refused, this is a rarely used option. So only if the voter absolutely confirms they never want to be called again, or they're actively hostile, and that you've confirmed the name ID of the voter. So if someone just kind of like picks up angrily, is like, I don't want to talk to anyone, blah, 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 hangs up the phone, that would just be a not home rather than a refuse, because we don't want to accidentally scrub someone from the lists. As well as some explanations are provided on the County to County's FAQ webpage that I referenced earlier. And so some people like to print this out, keep it at the side of them, etc. But this is a helpful resources for phone bankers new and seasoned. So once you actually click kind of one of the I couldn't reach options, you're going to click save and next call, which will then kind of be darkened blue. And then what's going to happen is it's going to look like you're just popped back to where you were before, but you'll notice it's going to be a new voter's information at the top, same script, and you just kind of repeat the process. So if you're able to speak with the person, then you proceed to talk with the person using the script provided. And so the script flows throughout it like you're having a conversation. So you scroll as you go, and you'll see that there's options with questions and drop-down menus as we're going, so you can fill them out as you're having that conversation with the voter. And remember, think of these scripts as like a conversation guide for like the key points you want to hit and the questions you want to ask, but don't feel the need to like sound like a robot and read the script word for word. If it doesn't flow with kind of the way that you speak, make those tweaks and adjustments so that you feel more comfortable when talking with the voter. So as I was saying before, the phone bank has those script options as well as drop-down menus as you're talking, so you're able to record those answers. Each phone bank has different questions, and so there's a lot of different ways that it can be answered and selected. There can be a drop-down menu, multiple choice, or an empty block where you fill the text yourself. However, this will always be obvious with the flow of the script. And so as you continue all the way through recording a voter's answers, there's also an additional box for notes or questions which maybe didn't come up, or questions that the voter wants to be answered from the campaign themselves. And so you're able to record that relevant information there. So if the voter wants to volunteer, that's great information. Campaigns love that. And so you want to make sure you note that down. So when the candidates and campaigns see the results of the phone bank, they see, oh, this voter wants to volunteer. We need to contact them and get them kind of hooked up and set up to make calls, canvass, help with our office, etc. All the different volunteer tasks that they may need handled. Or if the voter wants to talk to someone in the campaign more or speak to the candidate, you'll find sometimes candidates will call up volunteers themselves, voters themselves on the night of the phone bank, or they'll kind of keep a list going of people that they want to contact and chat with more. And so additionally, this is what it's going to look like specifically on your screen. You see the notes option for what we just chatted about, as well as options for adding a phone or another email. So if the voter has an additional phone or a preferred phone, you can drop that there. Or if they provide an email, you can drop that there as well. And once you answer any of the relevant questions throughout the phone bank, you've scrolled to the bottom of your screen, but you're going to want to scroll back up to the top of your screen and click that save and next call option to then move on to your next caller in the script. So after you complete as many calls as you'd like for the time that you're phone banking, or you only have time for like 30 minutes a day, an hour, etc., you're going to click stop making calls button, and that's at the lower right-hand corner at the bottom of the screen. Once you click that, you'll be prompted with this pop-up menu asking you, are you sure you don't want to make calls? Thank you. and then you click leave session, or if you accidentally click it, just click make more calls and you'll just be prompted back to the script. One thing of note, leaving the session doesn't kick you out of the session forever. You're still able to rejoin that OpenVPB link as long as it's still active. So bookmark that link or save that in your notes somewhere so that throughout the entire duration of the spotlight, you'll still be able to access that phone bank link. And so after the calls, you have that Zoom debrief option. And so if you have left the Zoom, you can just go back to that welcome email you got from phonebanks@county-nc.org, rejoin that same Zoom. Or if you're still in the Zoom, but you've just disengaged, you can click join audio button where the mute microphone was. And then you will be prompted with another pop-up menu to join audio. You'll be reconnected so that you can hear people and people can hear you again. And you're back in that Zoom room, able to kind of debrief on what calls went well. Did you have a really exciting volunteer who wants to volunteer? Any difficulties you experienced, or kind of if this is your first foray into phone banking, it's always nice to hear other first-timers' experience as well. And so as a reminder, now that you're signed up for the phone bank, you're able to make calls anytime throughout the entire spotlight period. So make calls anytime you're like on your own schedule, generally conforming to the kind of those like 9 to 8 p.m. hours during kind of business hours, making those calls, not calling people in the middle of the night or too early in the morning, but making calls whenever works on your time, helping us reach our target number of calls per month. So I hope this answers any and all questions you have with phone banking for county to county. And of course, we have that FAQ option on our website. And we have people in contact with folks all the time to help them walk through specific questions as they pop up, or specific script questions and intricacies as well. Sweet. So happy phone banking, and I hope to see y'all on a Zoom kickoff sometime soon.